It is updated rankings time. That's right. You see the current 5-star prospects right in front of you, and there is some movement. Braylon Mullins moving into 5-star territory. Shelton Henderson, Jalen Harrelson, Jasper Johnson, Isaiah Harwell, Malik Thomas, Chris Senak, Braden Burries, all capturing that precious 5th star, going into Caleb Wilson, Mikkel Brown, Koa Pete, Darius Acuff, Nate Ament, Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, and AJ DeBonsa. The 16 5-star prospects in the national class of 2025. Thank you for joining us here on the 247 Sports channel. Make sure you are hitting that like and subscribe button. Make sure you share this on social media now, because we're just getting started with this rankings reveal show. Obviously, this is the culmination of months of hard work. Our 5-man staff was on the road all summer long. I know for me personally, there was a 17-day stretch where I was only home for 3 days, and on average watching about 10 games per day, and I'm just one of 5 guys. So really take this process very, very seriously. Even after the recruiting period ended in late July, there continued to be national events throughout the country that we covered and evaluated. We went back and did our due diligence, diving into the stats and video, thanks to our partnership with Synergy Sports and Sports Radar, allowing us access to that technology and getting the most thorough evaluation process leading to these updated rankings. Want to talk a little bit about AJ DeBonsa retaining that number 1 spot. We said going into the summer that we viewed DeBonsa as the best long-term prospect in high school basketball, all while Cam Boozer may be the best high school player in the country. I know that seems like a contradiction to some, but it's really not. DeBonsa just has a dynamic upside. We are talking about a 6'9" jumbo wing who can create his own shot and get to spots unlike anybody else in the high school game in ways that could potentially translate up levels. He can cover the court. He's got defensive potential as well. Now, I will say this. Anyone who knows anything about Cameron Boozer knows that his development has been linear. We expect him to keep getting better, and that means AJ DeBonsa has to keep getting better as well. He has this superior upside, but his ability to retain this top ranking throughout the course of the year depends on him continuing to trend towards that upside. That means he has to keep getting better. He's done that to this point in his high school career. We expect him to keep doing that moving forward, and that is why he is the number 1 ranked prospect in the country. We are just starting to get into this, though. So for much more, I'm going to bring in my colleagues Eric Bossi and Travis Branham to help break this all down. Fellas, have your phones started buzzing with complaints yet?
Not yet. But it's coming.
Not yet. All right, great. So we have revealed the 5-star prospects in the country, but I want to dig into this a little bit, guys, because we've got some notable risers here, not necessarily, maybe just on the cusp of 5 stars. And we've talked about a few of these guys in the past, guys like CJ Ingram, Matt Abel, who have been discussed on this show. They were risers, both within the top 40. But there's a couple of big men who are up inside that top 30 area that I want to discuss maybe for the first time on this show right now. So, Bossi, I'm going to start with you. I want to ask you about Muhammad Silla. We watched him together at the NCAA Academy. This is his debut in the national rankings because he is here now playing in the States, making him eligible. Tell us where he debuted and what it is that makes him so high right away.
Yeah, so Muhammad Silla checks in at number 30 as his debut. And want to start off first that while we've now seen him play, we have not seen him quite as much as some of the other guys. So as we discussed this, we decided that we wanted to maybe go a little bit on the conservative side, because I think as we get to see him more and he gets used to playing over here in the States, we're talking about a guy that could possibly compete for the number 1 center spot in the class. He's 6'9", maybe 6'10". He's built like he's already been in a college weight room for 2 or 3 years. He's an extreme athlete, and writing about this guy, I said there's almost a level of violence with the way he dunks the ball, with the way he blocks shots at the rim and just attacks everything with just a physicality and just a meanness, just like bad intentions about the way he does things that I think is going to make him a real favorite real quick. It's going to give him a chance to move up the rankings. Now, he is a little bit on the older side for the class of 2025, so we do have to take that into account. So we're going to really want to see the skill development side, but in terms of instincts, athleticism, pure physicality, he checks all the boxes, and he's going to be a guy that I think fans of college basketball recruiting are going to become really familiar with really quick this year.
All right, now Trav, Silla is someone who really makes his mark, in my opinion, first and foremost on the defensive end, But there's another riser who really distinguishes himself offensively, and that's Eric Reby. He is also within the top 30 now. What can you tell us about this guy's rise?
Yeah, another 7-footer, and as you said, he does his damage on the offensive end of the floor. 7-footer, and just fits this new modern big man in college basketball. We have seen this kind of position and this style of player just explode and take over college basketball over the last few years. Looking at guys like Zach Edey or Armando Bacot, and all those guys. So. A guy that can score inside over both shoulders, great hands, great touch, but can also step out and make shots out to 15 feet and 18 feet. So he is not committed yet. So wherever he goes, they are going to be getting a player that's going to put points on the board very efficiently and also grab quite a few rebounds per game. So he is going to be, in my opinion, a college star.
Yeah, I think Reby's really intriguing, especially for the college programs that want to run more modern offenses, because to your point, he does play inside and out. You can throw it to him in the post, but he can step out on the perimeter and you can play 5 out with him because he can dribble, pass, and shoot. He can throw backdoor passes. I think he's going to be able to stretch to the 3-point line if he doesn't do that already consistently, be a pick and pop threat. So he's someone too that I think has a chance to keep playing his way up these rankings this year down at the Bullis School in Maryland. Guys, I want to turn the page a little bit. Talked about the big guys a little bit there. One of my big takeaways for this class, because listen, everybody wants to talk about, AJ, Cam Boozer, Darren Peterson, and rightfully so. Nate Ament, those guys are all the top of the class. But I think a sneaky part of this class is the depth of the guards. As we were going through this, we had guys in the 50s and the 60s, and I just kept looking at these guards and be like, he's got to be in the top 50. He's got to be in the top 50. So I want to take a minute and just highlight some of those guys. Bossi, I will start with you. As we examine the perimeter depth in this class, is there anybody in the 30s, in the 40s, maybe even in the 50s who you are particularly fond of who could continue to rise here in the coming months?
I think if anyone has paid particularly close attention to what I've written since the spring, what we've discussed in roundtables, things like that, everyone should know that I'm big on Jamarian Bateman, who moves up into the top 40 now for us. A guard from Milwaukee that's committed to Iowa State. Pardon me, not Ohio State, to Iowa State. Jamarian is he doesn't exactly shoot a classical looking jump shot, but he is just an absolutely deadly shooter from outside with deep range. And then what I really respect about him is I don't know that there's a more competitive guy in the country. There may be guys as competitive, but not a more competitive guy who's more willing to step up and make big shots at big moments. And as good as he is on the offensive end, he's every bit as good defensively, which is going to allow him to get on the floor quick out in Ames, where TJ Otzelberger values the defensive end of the floor so much.
Yeah, for sure. Competitive, strong, two-way player who defends and makes shots. I think that is certainly a prototype that earned his rise. Trav, how about you? Any guard that you've got your eye on that could keep rising here?
Absolutely, and that's Kaden Lewis. He's already a household name. He is being recruited by all of the Blue Bloods at this point. We got him ranked number 32 overall in the country, and to me, he's one of those players where you look at the guys ahead of him, and a lot of those guys have a lot of NBA potential. But and Kaden may not have that upside in terms of being a surefire first-round pick type player. But when you look at college impact, there's few guys that really jump off the page to me in this class as a Kaden Lewis, a guy that has built his reputation and foundation as a player just around his jump shot. And over the last year, he's really expanded his ball skills and ability to make plays off the bounce. Just very crafty, shifty, that can get to his spots, create shots, and drill shots from all over the court. So whoever ultimately lands him, whether it's North Carolina, Duke, UConn, or Kentucky, they are going to be getting a guy who's going to be a big-time impact player for multiple years in college.
And another thing to note about a Kaden Lewis, guys, is there's a positional switch for him in our database. We are now listing him as a point guard. I think he's really done a nice job of developing his passing ability, making plays for others. He was one of the EYBL leaders in assists this year, and I think being recruited basically exclusively at the point guard position. And it should go without saying that when we designate positions for players, that's, you guys can vouch for that. That's always an internal debate. This is not like, hey, where does somebody's grassroots coach want him to be listed? Like, this is what position we think you were going to play at the next level. And we spend a lot of time talking about that. So the fact that Kaden has now been switched to a point guard is representative of the strides we have seen in his game. One guard that I want to bring attention to, and that's Kaden Magwood. Trav, you made a point about someone who is ready to impact college basketball. Kaden Magwood, to me, is a guy that when you watch a grassroots game, he's going to almost dominate every game he's in, because this is what he does. He is a prolific scorer and a prolific shot maker. So we may have him ranked right now in the 40s, which is a significant jump, but he earned that top 50 status. Now, he's only about 6 feet, but he's got a long wingspan, about 6'5", and this guy is a tough shot maker. And as I said, just an absolutely prolific scorer who I think is going to get buckets if he gets in the right situation in college. And he is just as good as it gets in terms of a guard creating and making big shots at the high school and grassroots level. So he is another guard that I am fond of.